The headquarters building of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria is now to be known as the Chimeze Ikazo House. And that is a big deal because among all the parastatals in the Federal Ministry of Justice, that is the first building to be so named after an individual. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gives approval for such renaming. And before he does that, he must have persuaded himself that the individual that has a federal government institution named after him is well deserving of such a renaming. And so the scale was at that ceremony. But we are not going to look at that event just as a ceremony. We're going to use it to revisit the duties of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria and then pay tribute to the works of Chief Chimeze Ikazo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, late now, but who initiated, along with 5 other significant Nigerian people, who you will hear later in the story, the works of the Legal Aid Association. These are a group of people that came together knowing the need for representation in the courts of people who are in criminal trials but who don't have the means, knowing the need for them to have representation, started in the 70s to sort for legal aid representation for these people. And so the federal government now has known that the jobs, the initial contributions and toil of all these individuals need to be recognized. And that is why a symbolic personality has been brought as the name that the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria will use to name its building. Welcome to The Scale. I am Femi Okeowo.
Imagine any society without laws. Imagine piles of laws without the courts to interpret them. Imagine lots of interpretation without a medium to bring them to your doorsteps. The Scale, on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, helps to fill the gaps and turns law and justice into a tangible instrument for national development. That is The Scale, and it is balanced.
Now, as we go into the duties and the functions of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria, and then the inauguration of the Chimeze Ikazo House, Olabode Arewa was at the ceremony, and so he's going to lead us into this first segment of the program.
From time to time, people get on the wrong side of the law, making them to need legal advice or representation to bail them out. A marked feature of the poor economic status of such people is their inability to afford such services, hence the need for pro bono legal assistance. This is the headquarters building of the Legal Aid Council in Abuja, being inaugurated by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. a legacy named in honor of Chimezie Keazo, SAN, a founding father of the legal aid practice for the poor, who was said to have collaborated with legal-like minds to ensure the enactment of the Legal Aid Council Act.
Legal Aid Council, according to the video that has just been played, and from the horse's mouth, the founder started as a wonderful idea. It eventually culminated into being a pet baby and conclusively into being a legislative framework which we are here today to witness by way of acknowledging the wonderful and exceptional services it has indeed been rendering. It is worthy of note that Chief Chimezie Keazo SAN was one of the legal luminaries that helped to set up the Nigeria Legal Aid Association, which subsequently led to the establishment of Legal Aid Council of Nigeria in 1974. His antecedents in providing legal services to the poor Nigerians are exemplary, and along with a few like minds, one of whom is by divine providence with us this afternoon to witness this occasion, he had indeed established the Legal Aid Council. He was supported in having in place Legal Aid Council by people like late Chief Solomon La, Debo Akande, and Edwin Umezoke, and they jointly founded and in his own case financed the Nigeria Legal Aid Association in 1974, which served as a platform for providing legal aid for the poor. The association was inaugurated on February 6, 1974, and had several branches across the nation and enjoyed immense support from the bench pursuant to its laudable mandate. The efforts of Legal Aid Association established by Chief Keazo's SAN later culminated in the promulgation of the Legal Aid Decree number 56 of 1976, now Legal Aid Act, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. This act formally introduced the legal aid scheme into law, and it was eventually incorporated into the 1979 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Keazo's sacrifice cannot go unnoticed. Indeed, the federal government and thousands of Nigerians who enjoy the services of the Legal Aid Council today remain grateful to the learned Silk for his selfless sacrifices and foresight in the protection of the freedoms guaranteed under the Nigerian Constitution, particularly on access to justice. As an institution under the supervisory purview of the Federal Ministry of Justice, I wish to pledge the Ministry's continued support toward achieving the constitutional and statutory mandate of the Legal Aid Council. I also wish to seize this opportunity to encourage the management and staff of the Legal Aid Council to continue to work hard in rendering legal services to Nigerians, so that the sacrifices of the founding fathers, such as Chief Keazo SAN, will not be in vain. Indeed, the success of the Council is only measured by the ability of the indigent Nigerians to access justice in an efficient, timely, and effective manner. The Special Task Force of the Council facilitated the release of 30 awaiting trial inmates in Kefi, Correctional Center, in addition to filing application of enforcement of fundamental human rights of 101 awaiting trial inmates within a span of the quota under consideration. Again, the police duty solicitor scheme of the council currently operates in 11 states across the country. This operation has successfully diverted over 7,000 persons from the criminal justice system, and 90% of these persons left police custody during the first 5 days of arrest, all out of support by the Legal Aid Council, the foundation of which was indeed established by the learned senior advocate Epeazo.
He discussed the idea of legal aid quite early in the 70s, in his prime, effectively. And he was of the view there was an untenable gap in the Nigerian justice system.
I feel very happy that my husband has been remembered for so many years. And I thank President Buhari for the honor bestowed on my husband by naming the legal aid quarters after him.
It's equally important to mention that because of our desire to grant legal aid and assistance to the poor and the indigent in the society, the Council has created and operates legal aid centers in about 25 local area councils nationwide. Our presence here for this great event wouldn't have been possible without the magnanimity of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, who graciously approved the renaming of Legal Aid Council building on the recommendation of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Malam Abubakar Malami, SAN. It is, however, instructive to mention that in the year 2020, when COVID was about to unleash its hardship on the nation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, assisted greatly by securing a special intervention in the sum of 1.2 billion naira for the operations of the council. Again, this is an unprecedented feat in the history of this council. We were able to purchase 36 vehicles for all the state coordinators in the 36 states of the Federation with part of the fund. The intervention has greatly assisted the Council and its staff in the performance of our statutory functions.
Before the legal aid, there were no facilities for poor people. The law did not recognize them.
Yes, the Legal Aid Council is an encapsulation of that ideal, which Chief Ikeazo actually represented and started. And so this is a remarkable moment in the history of the administration of justice in this country. Of course, the Legal Aid Council has done quite a lot. From the report of the Honorable Attorney General, the number of persons, indigent persons, the downtrodden that they represented, pro bono to the clients that they represented. But of course, you know, government picks up the costs, providing the logistics for them to be able to do that. But so they've done quite a lot within the available resources made to them. But they could do more. They could do more. In government can also do more in supporting the work of the Legal Aid Council, in employing more human resource, and even the provision of additional logistics for the Legal Aid Council to continue to do the very good job that they are doing. And I tell you the truth, what the legal provision of pro bono service is the primary call of every lawyer.
At least 57,134 cases of indigent Nigerians have been attended to by the Legal Aid Council in 2022 alone, with the recovery of 54 million naira. In Abuja, Olabodarewa.
By coincidence, one of the children of late Chief Chimeze Ikazo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is a serving minister in the Federal Republic of Nigeria now. She is Sharon Ikazo, the Minister of State for Niger Delta. Now we decided to talk to her and sieve out the feelings of the family as this great honor is being done to the works of their father, Chief Chimeze Ikazo. We have just finished watching the first part of this whole idea of immortalizing someone who has struggled for the justice system, criminal justice system in Nigeria. Share with us what comes to you, seeing the whole decades of struggle culminate in the federal government of Nigeria, recognizing Chief Chimeze Ikazo with this honor.
It really gladdens my heart, and I feel very warm-hearted over the honor done to my father. And it also at the same time brings back memories of the years of struggle, because I was a very young girl. I was a teenager in 1974 when he started the legal aid campaign.
Yes.
I mean, I recall going to Ikoyi prisons with him.
As far back as that?
As far back as then, yes. We lived in Lagos then. I was a 13-year-old, going with him to visit prison inmates. Then some of his campaigns, state to state, I would usually join him. And I'm sure that was what influenced me into being a lawyer, because I was a science student and wanted to be a medical doctor. But the overbearing influence of my father turned me into law. So it's indeed a great honor, because if such honors are given to everyone who has left a legacy in Nigeria, the younger ones would have mentors and see living examples of such mentors that they can look up to.
It's been years of toil, and yet it's still a job that is far from concluded. Do you still carry the burden of awaiting trials in incarceration centers? And how does it come to you, even when you have to perform a job, immediate job now, that is not within that scope?
It goes beyond just the burden of awaiting trial, the burden of social injustice in every ramification. It's my father's influence on me that made me abhor any form of injustice. The burden on the criminal justice system is fresh in my mind every day. I have continued with my father's legacy in my own way, and I've always encouraged a lot of my friends to do the same. Take Suleja prison, for instance. I go in there once in a while to pay the fines of awaiting trial inmates. People, fines as little as 20,000 naira, 10,000 naira. Each and every one of us will be able to do that and decongest the prisons that way. And from going into the prisons, another aspect that I noticed that really bothered me is the issue of young babies being born and raised in our prison system. That this is a conversation that we need to have in the legal sphere about suspended sentencing, especially for women as well.
And how can that operate from your experience? The suspended sentence?
Suspended sentence, yes. I mean, for instance, a woman is convicted. When you go into prisons, tests should be run on you. For one, pregnancy test. And they find out you're pregnant, why not suspend your sentence after you have weaned your baby? Then you go back and serve your prison sentence. Yes.
Now, you just brought us into a discussion we had very recently on this same program,
Yes.
about the alternatives to custodial sentence.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem as if it's an attraction in our courts to apply non-custodial sentencing in Nigeria.
Applying non-custodial sentencing in Nigeria is just not for the courts alone. It encompasses the security network as well. In developed countries, every criminal, anyone who has had a case with the law, you have a database of fingerprints where you can be traced. Addressing system, next of kin. But I think we have gone far in Nigeria. At least we have our NIN, our NIN numbers. Yes. And I think some security agencies are building on their database. So once we have that in place, it will be easy to have the suspended sentence because you'll be able to track and trace the person.
The name of that building, what impact do you think it should have on the skyline of the Nigerian youth?
They'll probably ask,
yes,
who is he?
Yes.
So
and the story would always
come up.
Okay.
But so far, a lot of the lawyers we have now are aware of him, because the Legal Aid Council, in carrying out their duties, have always talked about him as the father of legal aid in Nigeria. And I am glad that they haven't forgotten that. And by now, immortalizing him is there cast in stone that this is the man who started legal aid in Nigeria. And this is indeed a great honor, not only for him, but for us, his family as well, for us to remember him.
You want to say a few words about the process that made it possible?
We are indeed very grateful to President Muhammadu Buhari for approving that building be named after our father Chimezie Ikeazo. And going back as well, we thank the federal government for institutionalizing legal aid by coming up with a decree and establishing legal aid for the poor in Nigeria. And I will also use this opportunity to ask that the Legal Aid Council gets a lot more funding for them to carry out their duties in all our custodial centers in Nigeria, and for the lawyers to be paid well to continue.
And so now it helps us to be reawakened to the duties of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria, and how a lot more needs to be done to bring representation, which is a constitutional requirement actually, for people who are going through trials, criminal trials in courts. There are several people, and part of the things that you have had that is causing the great number of awaiting trials in custodial centers is the fact that not many of people who go wrong on the side of the law are able to get legal representation in court, and so they stay away from courts and prisons for a long time. Now, with sensitization such as this and greater knowledge of what the society needs to do to this class of people, I'm sure it will translate into reducing the number of awaiting trials in our custodial centers. Thank you for being part of today's program. More should be coming your way in coming days on the scale, and we shall be updating you on the happenings around the country. We'll see you again.